Governor?
Well, we did conspiracy theory, and everybody thought, oh, look at this crazy show, a former governor's doing this, and they have the stereotypical, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, which means you're nuts, when the reality is they did a study in Europe and found that conspiracy theorists are generally more intelligent than the average people.
That's right.
But we're being vindicated, but Alex, it's a hollow vindication because I don't want to be vindicated on it. I wish it were the opposite. I wish I was wrong. I wish that all the things on conspiracy theory were just that. They weren't real. And now it's just astounding watching all this stuff, the FEMA camps, all this stuff that we talked about, is the strange weather when we went up and investigated HAARP and all this stuff. And it's just like, oh, my God, no wonder they wanted that show off the air.
It's a bunch of mad scientists with unlimited funding playing God, and they just see our basic freedoms as in the way of them playing God.
Pretty much. I'm starting to believe that myself. It's like I said, it's just amazing to me that my case, which is really, it's not a national case. An individual defamed me in a book, and I was forced to defend myself from that defamation, and they unjustly enriched themselves. How can this be a national issue?
I was the guy that called you in Mexico and got you on the phone and told you, and you thought I was doing a dirty joke. I mean, you were like, come on, Alex. And I said, no, this is really being said all over the news right now.
Yeah, but I mean, how can this be a national issue, which it is now? I mean, sure, it was important to Jesse Ventura, just as if someone defamed Burt Reynolds or defamed whoever else may be out there. It's important to the individual and who they are. But now it's my whole trial has burst into an entire national war to save our asses.
That's it. Well, that's what happens when one man does the right thing and then wins. The enemy comes in again, and they just keep doubling down because they know they're going to lose if they don't, and they just hope in this game of chicken you and others back off. But they're scared to death. They know their house of cards is coming down, and they know that people are waking up to them.
I hope so. I really hope so, Alex, because, like I said, it gets pretty lonely out there fighting the fight. and it's been tough on my wife and tough on everybody. And, I've lost friends that I guess they weren't really friends if they won't stick with you. So, but you thought they were.
Well, there's a lot of cowards and a lot of people that are fair weather friends. They're summertime soldiers, and they're the plague. But when things really get bad, people you didn't think were your friends will also start showing up.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. And like I said, I hate to do this, and we'll go on to the other subjects, but I may have to have help. And I want you got loyal listeners, Alex. Everywhere I go in the world, people come up to me, and one of the first things they'll always say to me is, I listen to Alex Jones. It's almost like handing me a business card.
Sure, it's Fight Club. It's Fight Club-esque. Expanding on that, I followed your case. I've been in the middle of it. I debated Chris Kyle and Opie and Anthony right after this lie was put out. I warned them all, you better watch it. This is serious. He's going to sue you. He didn't do it. You're hurting somebody. But clearly it was a plan to destroy you. You didn't have a choice. They were coming to assassinate your name. That's what they do instead of killing you nowadays. They destroy your name.
Yep, and your credibility, and they marginalize you.
And so you didn't have a choice, and now you told me privately, hey, I'm not wealthy like I used to be. I've blown almost all my money on this, but I can't stop. And, you were even privately telling me about having to, sell your house or whatever to fight these people and just move to Mexico, I guess. I mean, it's just so sad but look where it got Kyle. And I know you don't want to talk about him. It's not going to talk ill of the dead. I think Chris Kyle's probably a nice guy. I think he got set up by some bigger people. He got played. And just like Jessica Lynch or Pat Tillman, it's...
No, I don't think so, Alex, because he originally told the story back in 2006.
So he's been telling it a long time.
And he told it to his sailor buddies out there. So don't give him a pass.
No, I understand. So it was a fish story.
He whored the trident, what we call whoring the trident. We had a standard rule in the teams. much like Vegas, what happens on deployment stays on deployment. You don't come home and write books about it. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is today. Now they all come home and write books about it because they can get wealthy. Well, that's fine. I don't begrudge anyone anything, but it still goes against the old SEAL tradition of we don't talk about what we do.
Well, the Army still won't brag, and they do a lot more because they have larger numbers than the SEALs. The Army is freaked out by the Navy SEALs agreeing to be these propaganda fronts. It turns out Zero Dark 30's not true. The Bin Laden raid's fake. What happened to the Navy SEALs?
I don't know. Gosh, I don't know. Like I said, I've been out of them now for, I left in 1973, but back then you didn't hoard the Trident. And remember, Chris Kyle, and then he took an old-timer like me and threw me under the bus, knowing full well that incident did not occur. And he did it for fame and fortune, so don't give him a pass.
Well, I agree with you. It's very dishonorable. I was just... Clearly, though, he was being... People picked up on his line of bull, and they got him hyped up to go all the way with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially after he unfortunately died, they thought I would... Well, here's the situation they put me in, Alex. Imagine for a moment if a veteran accused you of being a child molester, and you sued that veteran. And then, unfortunately, before it went to trial, the veteran died. Well, would you drop your lawsuit and be marked as a child molester for the rest of your life?
No.
Or would you continue the lawsuit to clear your name? Which is all that I did.
Well, I'll be honest. First, I'd kick their ass.
I mean, jury.
Yeah. No, I told you, you did what you had to do. You had no other recourse.
Yeah, there was nothing else I could do or get out of public and go to Mexico and live and never show my face again.
No, you didn't stick your tail between your legs. I admire you.
That was my alternative. And so I fought the fight. And the only thing is the fight has now gone globally, or not globally, but United States.
Oh, make no mistake. This is global because they follow U.S. jurisprudence. I would have said I can't imagine the Supreme Court's going to overrule themselves and say you're allowed to lie knowingly and profit from it. But in this climate, they'll probably rule that way.
I don't know. And we'll have to wait and see. But like I said, Alex, if I'll be back, I'll call you back next week. Hopefully I'll set up to where if people do want to help out in this financially, and I feel like I'm asking for charity, but I think that the fight is a good fight. It's one that we, the people, need to fight. We've got to fight this because if I get beat, it's going to have repercussions not just on me. It's going to have them on you and everybody else.
Well, I always said this was a national case. And you were like, no, it's just my personal case. And I'm not saying, see, I was right. This is key. They, with their actuaries, their computers, and their political scientists, knew 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that you were super popular, you were set, you could have been another Ross Perot or bigger, but they know you wouldn't back off. So they assassinated you, buddy. Instead of putting bullets in you, though, like Kennedy, they said that you're glad veterans died and that you and that you got beat up. That's the way to discredit somebody, to try to get the SEALs to turn against you, to then come out and demonize you. And I guess they just thought you'd roll over.
Well, they don't know us that well because we don't roll over. Anyway, Alex, what else you want to talk about?
Well, I just want to say this. These are epic times we're living in. Obama came out and blamed the Second Amendment for the situation in South Carolina, but it turns out he was on a antipsychotic medication that literally says it can make you kill people on the insert. And
you know what I find interesting, Alex? How come whenever it's a white guy doing the killing, he's always psychotic and on drugs or is mentally disturbed, and yet when it's black people, you never hear them say that, do you?
Well, I'm not defending when blacks or whites kill each other. I think it's horrible.
I agree, but I just find it interesting. Obviously, the guy's a psychotic nut. Nobody in their right mind goes out and behaves in that manner. That's a given. That's a given. Anybody that could walk in to a place of worship where there are peaceful, peace-loving people and walk in and just murder them, well, you don't have to, in that case, you don't have to question. Of course that person is nuts. That's not normal behavior. No one in their right mind would ever say it was.
Well, I agree. Most of the black-on-black crime is gang-related drug war stuff. If in the few cases we've seen a deranged black person go in and do similar stuff, they've always been on psychotropics. I mean, the insert says that these whole classes can make you do this.
I don't know about that stuff, but we need to take the big. You can't blame the gun. You know, right away, blame the gun, and we need new gun laws. No, that ain't it. I mean, I have a gun safe, and never once have I come home and heard any misbehaving out of it.
That's right.
You know, it requires a human element. And if there's not a gun, well, what would be the difference if the guy would have thrown a hand grenade?
Well, what if he'd have waited outside with his car till the main church on Sunday let out and run over 100 people?
Yeah, and ran them all over at 80 miles an hour. You know, the point is that we systematically like to blame the tool rather than go get to the base of the problem.
Well, I agree with you, but this is about coming after the guns. And this, what do you think of the Republican leadership? Talk about how they're a gang, siding with Obama against the Democrats and the Tea Party and ramming through the TPP. It's not completely rammed through, but they did pass it out of the House yesterday when it's a secret treaty and gives the president dictatorial power.
Not only that, this is the trade thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, not only that, no input from the people and the participation of over 600 corporations in it. What you have here is fascism. You have now, because the Supreme Court allowed the corporations to become people, you have corporations dictating policy with their money to the politicians, and now they're dictating policy completely. They're even brought in. They're brought in, and one of the things, you know what one of the things in this is? That the corporations can do business, and it allows them to sue governments who don't cooperate with them.
Exactly.
I mean, give me a break. Here they want to take away my right to sue when they lie about me and profit from it, but here on this trade agreement, they then want the ability to sue governments who don't kowtow to their needs.
It's a total power grab, and this is the same case.
Fascism.
It is. It's corporate fascism. Look at how 33 conglomerates with thousands of subsidiaries under them, thousands, are coming against you with money and power with that message with the same thing. They're removing the Magna Carta. They're removing the Bill of Rights. They're removing any power we have to peacefully resist their hegemonic takeover.
Well, you know, it's getting to the point, Alex. God, we're going to get flagged for this one. Maybe it's time for the rakes and the shovels and the torches. You get what I mean?
Yes, sir. Well, that's why they're gearing up and admitting in the Army Times that they're preparing the military to take on the American people. But the military is really waking up. What's your view on these giant military drills that they admit are training to take over the United States?
It's horrifying. It goes back to that defense bill a couple years ago that McCain and the guy from Michigan ramrodded through that amendment to the defense bill that allows the military to operate within the United States on the war on terror.
That's right. And what did
it's absurd.
And what did the John Warner Defense Authorization Act say in 97? In 2007. It said that NORTHCOM is to stop insurrection in the states or by the states. It admits that it's to suppress the states.
Yeah. So, you know, and you've got police forces out there now that they don't look like the police anymore. When I was a kid growing up, the police walked around with a little hat on and a blue shirt and these kind of dark blue slacks, and they got white cars that said protect and serve. Now the police come out with helmet gear on. They come out looking like they're heading to Beirut, Lebanon, or Iraq for a full-scale war, and those are now our police. And then I love this one. I want to bring this point up, Alex, that ties together a little bit. I know it's a little off, but in war, you're not allowed to use chemical weapons according to the rules of war.
Yes.
You cannot use chemical weapons against your opponent, right? That was one of the big excuses they had for us to invade Iraq, was that Saddam did that.
Geneva Convention.
It's outrageous. So we can't use chemicals against an enemy, but we're allowed to use chemicals against our own people?
You're absolutely right. When we come back, I want to get into the preparations for an economic collapse. Europe is already in free fall. There's already bank runs beginning. Ron Paul says that any minute the stock market could implode. Here's the headline, CNBC, stock market, day of reckoning is near. I want to get former Minnesota governor's take on the state of the world, the economy, and why he thinks all these billionaires are fleeing to armored redoubts